Hey, what's up? Uh, Sorry for the crappy audio again, and I swear. Well, first let me say there's nothing I could do at the moment about the audio quality, but but I swear I'm not gonna talk about Star Trek this time. I won't. I'm gonna try and focus in on something else, cause I don't think I articulated it correctly when it came to the CW, cause it kind of sounds dumb, but I kind of like picking on it. I know that sounds kind of mean because, like who am I to say anything? Because I don't own my own network. I don't own my own building. So, it seems kind of, but there are certain things that if you took a writing class or if you're in school for film or, if you're if you're if you're receiving an education for that sort of industry, whether it's writing or making scripts or video editing or whatever you're doing, even video games. You need to know the fundamentals and you need to understand your craft and what it is you want to do. Let's say I want to make my own superhero comic books. Well, I have to learn a little bit about it. If I don't know anything about it, and I just woke up one day and randomly said, "Hey, I want to make a superhero book." Even though I'd never read one, I know nothing about it, and I'm bad at writing, I'm going to make one. Now, that doesn't mean you can't say, you know what? I'm going to try and write a book, and, whatever. Doesn't mean you can't. You can do whatever you want, but if you don't know what you're doing, you might not get your message across of what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do. So if you want to make a superhero thing because you have an interest in it, maybe read a little bit about them. Maybe look at the popular ones, see what works, see what doesn't. Maybe learn a bit because making a comic isn't just draw a picture and then put the words in it. It's you need to write a script. Are you going to write the script? Or are you going to be the artist? If you're the artist, what's your art style? What's it going to be? Does your art style meet the tone? Well, what about your perspectives and the way the body moves? How are you going to do the dimensions of the space? Blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're writing the script, well, how can you convey what you're putting on the script to the artist to make the art and the illustrations to describe what's in the script? And it's not just that easy. It's not that easy because then there's inking and lettering, and I'm getting distracted again. So what's that got to do with the CW? Well, I I like to think like the CW is like how do I don't want to sound mean, but it kind of sound it the CW is kind of like baby's first script or baby's first pilot. Um which again, it sounds like I'm mean because I'm picking on a genre, but I'm not trying to. It's just it's like they go out of their way to do more than what they're capable of doing. And then they try to make the same type of show but in different genres and it's annoying. you know so I would feel bad if someone spent money on an education and then ends up to work at the CW. I'm like, yeah, it's you could put it on your resume, but it's not exactly like, whoa, oh my. And I got distracted again. um but instead of using Star Trek, I thought I'd use a different example to kind of get across, and I'm going to be focusing on story beats and emotional stuff because if because I think that's important, not because you want to be a gloomy crying baby, but if you're able to write a convincing scene that has weight, that's a skill because it's hard to connect to an audience like that. If these are characters that the audience has been following and then something happens to them, or there's a betrayal, or there's a moment of tension, something as simple as what I complained about in the CW, where in Batgirl, every time Batwoman, or whatever, every time somebody has a dramatic line, and now we're over, and then the music's swelling. It's like, shut up. Let the scene play out. Let us, it's really obnoxious with the, whatever. Um, yeah, but I was thinking about it, and I thought I'd use Telltale games. And Telltale, unfortunately, as a company, went under. And they went under because they got too big for their own britches, is the old saying. They got too. They tried to grow too quickly. And at one point in its life cycle, they had multiple projects going on at the same time. So I I don't know if this is the same thing, but it's kind of like you being the only chef in the kitchen, and somebody wants a pizza, and then somebody wants a steak, and somebody wants a burger, and then somebody wants fries, and you have to prepare it all by yourself, and then do all the prep. It's not going to come out good. So they had Batman and all these other titles coming out, and they were working on them, and it 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 shows they were stretching themselves way too thin, and they went bankrupt. So whether that's part of the publisher or the studio or whatever, I think it's a mix of both. But the first thing, Telltale's The Walking Dead with Lee, I like that storyline, and I played the game a particular way, and because you make your own little choices and whatnot. And I had my own version of Lee that was a good natured, good hearted dude, and I actually, um, in the game, I actually got everyone's loyalty. Um, is loyalty the right word or trust? Basically, everyone liked me, especially when it was the uh, at the end with Lee when you go on to, spoiler alert, save Clementine. If you don't have everyone's trust, some people go with you, some don't, and that affects whether or not they die or whatever. But because of the way I played the game, everyone trusted me and everyone liked me. So when I went on to save Clementine, everyone liked my character and they all decided to help, whatever. So that's what happened. And there's different ways for it to go down, but I wanted to talk about, as an example, the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was their best Telltale game. And it's a shame I can't play it. You can't play the game if you don't have it downloaded, or if you can't find it somewhere on the internet where someone has a copy. You cannot play this game. And I think it's one of the best ones. And the basic story was you're there to find a MacGuffin that Thanos is after, but then Thanos, you find Thanos, and you play a Star Lord, and you join together, and you actually end up killing Thanos. Now Thanos is dead. He's dead. That's the opening section of the game. And this is all coming from memory. I'm just right now remembering it from the top of my head. So forgive me if I get a few details wrong. But Theranos was after this MacGuffin, and the Guardians have that MacGuffin called the Eternity Forge, or the Forge of Eternity, whatever. And everyone wants it. Now there's different branches that you can go down and stuff. But the way that I played Star Lord was, again, he was a good natured dude that was funny, and of course the way I played, everyone liked him, um, which can be difficult. And you find out that in the story, Peter keeps having visions of his mother, and you get to play as him when he's on Earth and make little decisions in his past, which I liked, especially interactions with his mother. What happens is that he keeps having these visions until the visions, communicate with him back, and he's like, "Whoa, something's going on." And everyone that touches this thing has this flashback or this vision of the past. And with Star-Lord, it's visions of his mother. With Drax, it's visions of his daughter going on her, her rite of passage, her coming of age ceremony, whatever, and you get to make choices as him. And to be honest, I chose to spoiler, push the daughter off the cliff, because that's part of the ceremony, and I think it's something Drax would do, or my version of Drax. And then there's Rocket, and with Rocket, it's about him growing up in the lab and trying to escape it. And with Gamora, it's her and her sister on a mission and training and stuff. And basically, what they learn about the Eternity Forge is that what it does is it can resurrect anyone and bring them back to life. And every time they touch it, they get visions of people that mean a lot to them. Something, a person that was lost, and it's able to bring someone back to life. But they learn that in order to activate it, a life must be taken. Like a life for a life sort of situation. And it can bring back anybody from any time, anywhere. And of course, they all want to use it. But if it's a big deal, you can put in your input as, well, is it right to kill someone to bring someone else back to life because they all want to use it for their own means, and that kind of brings tension between the group, because they all want to bring back their loved ones. And with Rocket, his vision, as I said, is it being in the lab, and depending on how you play, it's you and his friend, Lila. And Rocket has a plan, they're gonna escape, but you get prompts, and she's supposed to be terminated, the next day. And you can choose to lie or tell the truth. I chose to lie because Rocket's a big softy, and I think he would shield her from the truth because he's sure that he's gonna save her, and they're all gonna get out. That's what I feel he would do. And they go to escape, and there's multiple ways for it to happen. So when you escape, the scientist tries to stop you. And one option is that Lila sacrifices herself. When you escape, she locks you out and tells you to leave and locks the doors behind her and is, killed, and then Rocket's, locked outside. Another way for it to go is that Lila kind of forces you to leave, and another way that happens is you convince her to leave with you, because Lila, she wants to see the sky, but if you convince her to leave with you, she gets shot. And in this scene, Rocket carries her outside, and the sun is shining, and she's looking around. She's like, wow, it's so beautiful, this and that. And you do have a choice in these moments, what to say. And I chose to say, yes, it is, and all that, agree with her. And then she dies in Rocket's arms. And it's this little bit of, it's not that no matter what you do, Lila's still going to die, but it allows you to put your own flavor on it, your own spin of your version of these characters, Now, I chose to not tell her about it, because in my mind, Rocket and her are working on a way to escape. So I think he would want to shield her from that, because he's like, no, we're going to do it, we're going to get out, it's not going to happen. So he wouldn't tell her about it, But that's the main cause of tension, because some people want to use it, some people don't. Some people think it's right, some people think it's wrong. And it's a very emotional and personal story for each of these characters because they want to bring back somebody they care about. And there's this point where Peter and Gamoura, they go to find out where these visions are coming from because it's like something's channeling itself through the forge, and they end up in this version of Peter's past, where it's him and Gamoura, and they're at this church where his mother, was went to him the funeral, and his mother's favorite song is playing, and then the screen gets all crazy. The closer you get to the casket, it gets louder, and then as soon as he touches it, it's over, and it gets quiet, and he's on this alien sort of ship-looking thing, on this planet, and who pops out of this little space coffin is Mantis, and she says that she's linked to the Forge. Now, at this, I'm trying to be really short because this is the quick version. Another version of this, not another version, but at the same time that this is happening, they're being followed by a Kree warrior, and she wants to use it to bring back her people. But you realize that it's not just her people she wants to bring back, but also her son that died in the war, in the war they had. And during this whole thing, you're being chased, and you actually make it to the forge to activate it, properly. And up until this point, you made lots of choices, and you've made, hopefully, whatever relationship you made with your group. So if you decide to destroy it or not destroy it, if you decide to destroy it and they're all with you and they all trust you, then they'll agree. And this kind of splits it two ways. If you choose to not destroy it, well, of course, she gets her hands on it and uses its power to bring back her soldiers that were on the ship, like frozen, because like they're dead, but she has their bodies frozen and whatever, and she uses that to bring back her army, and then she's killing more people to bring back more of her people and blowing up planets and shit. And if you choose to destroy it, she interrupts it, and shards uh, of the forge mixes with her body. She gets hit by the shards, and her body like becomes one with this thing, and she's like absorbing life. So her her army is still dead. Her son is still dead, but she's like absorbing life because it's like a corruptive power, and she kind of looks like, she's all fucked up looking. And later on, the final confrontation can go two different ways, depending on destroyed or not destroyed it. And you're at nowhere, and there's this confrontation. Now I picked destroyed it, so she's like, "Oh, that can't stop me because she can't die." And he goes, "No, I still have a secret weapon or something." She says, "What?" And I thought this line was really, really cool. When she's like, "Well, what is it?" Peter just looks at her and goes, "You're standing in it," and then nowhere starts shaking. So he has the broken Eternity Forge in his hand, but because they're both connected to it, he's basically reviving the Celestial, and 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 he says, "Oh, you better stop doing what you're doing, otherwise I will bring this thing back to life, and you're gonna have a pissed off Celestial, blah blah blah." And then, of course, you kill her. But that scene was really cool. I really thought that was nice. Anyway, when you kill her, you can still talk to her, and multiple people can do it in different ways. You could berate her, you could yell at her, you could say, you're a piece of shit, fuck you, sort of thing. Or you can ask, why would you do this? And if you make certain options in the game, the last options for the conversation you have with her change. Where as she's dying, she she believes you to be her son. She's dying. Her mind is kind of corrupted by the power, and in her last moment, she actually believes that you're her son, and she says, "I'm so sorry, that I wasn't there to protect you," stuff like that. And depending on how you play the game, you could have the option to show her compassion. And you can say it's not your fault, this and that, and she says that she loves you. And in a flashback you had with in one of the visions, where you're playing as Star-Lord, you're talking to his mother. His mother says something, and depending on what you choose, to say to his mom, you could say the same thing back to her, and you repeat the same line, and then she kind of dies you know, sort of peacefully. And at the end of the game, the Eternity Forge is still broken, and Mantis says it still has a little bit of its power left, and you have a choice to make now. And depending on what you do, you can choose, depending on how you play it. I chose for Star-Lord to speak to his mother again. But the way it works is that when he uses it, he's like in this big white void. This white void of nothingness, and his mother's there. Because again, it's not at full power, it's broken. And he has the option to talk to her, and you can just have a normal conversation. And towards the end, you have your Walkman, and she wants to hear a song, and you can choose. And this a good little. Here's a good little detail. You can choose what song to play. You can also choose to play her favorite song, and then he's listening to the music with her, and then she disappears, and he's by himself, and then he's back in nowhere. Those are nice little details. Now, if you don't destroy the forge, her son comes back to life, but her son sees his mother as a monster, and if you play your cards right, you can have him betray his mother, and see how wrong she is for killing all these people needlessly. But that's if you don't destroy it. And then at the end, because the Eternity Forge works, you can either choose to not use it, or you can bring back Lila, or Drax's daughter, or Gamoura, or even Peter's mom, and then Peter's mom gets to meet, his friends and stuff. But in my version of the game, when I did it again, I chose to bring back Gamoura. Because in my mind, if you made peace with your crew, and they accept, their past and what happened, in the game you meet Gamoura, and she's kind of like a pseudo prisoner on the ship, and you can have her and Gamoura fix their relationship, much like in the movies, and it's nice. But then she dies helping you guys, and they each have their moment where you have to talk to them and bring them back to the team, because they have that big breakup. And I chose to bring back Gamoura because her journey, her redemption was just starting, and I think it would have been nice in this version of the story to have her and Gamoura being together so she can continue to grow and change and kind of I didn't think that my Peter would want to bring back his mother in that way, even though I did think in the other version that he did want to talk to her and say goodbye. So that's just a really quick version that took me 25 minutes to explain. But and I could talk more in detail because as I'm talking about it, I'm sort of remembering more stuff. But it's a good story. It's got fun little things. It's not as action packed as the new Guardians game, but you should try that too. That one's also pretty fun. But this one was nice. It had a good story. It had good characters. It had good writing, and it could be silly, but it also did have a lot of heart. And whatever Guardians content I watch, it does have a lot of heart, despite, well, oh, I'm not going to talk about the animated one. But yeah, but that's the thing. And I just spoke about, damn, I just spoke about 26 minutes about an old, canceled, destroyed Telltale company and not about the CW because I have so much to say about that and not about the CW. See that this is exactly what I mean. I think this proves my point where I can't, even though I want to make fun of it and I want to like poke fun at it and I want to like say how bad it is. I just it's just so easy where I can't just talk for 30 minutes shitting and making fun of the CW because there's really not enough there for me to you know what I mean? It's not enough fuel to the fire because yeah, it's bad. What else can I say? It's bad. It's got bad writing. It's got bad cinematography. It's got a questionable music selection that hits or misses sometimes. Maybe they might do something cool once in a while, but then they quickly ruin it, or it's overshadowed by another dumb thing. Um, if you're looking for a teen drama, I guess watch it. But other than there's I don't really. You know what? I think I need a co-host so I can make fun of so I can do it properly to properly make fun of the CW because I have so much material to go over the things I like, but the CW, I might have to refresh my memory, which I think I will do. I'll watch maybe 10 minutes of each episode, maybe 5, and then I'll like refresh my memory on what specifically I don't like because this kind of turned into an unofficial Telltale review, but but that kind of proves my point, as I said. I can't really talk about the CW shows in the same manner like I just did. I can't say, wow, with this character, I really like this character because they did X, and when they didn't X, I understood this, and when they did that, and they blew up the thing, or they did the thing, that was really cool. And when and then in this scene, the way they did the camera, I can't say any of that because it's all bad. You know? Tell me if I'm right or wrong on that. Um, if somebody can like talk passionately about one of the shows, and I'm like, you know what, that sounds pretty cool. I'll let you know. But yeah, have a good one.